GTA clones have been making waves lately, and Brazil seems to be leading this trend. After 171, another Brazilian-made GTA-inspired game is turning heads in the gaming community. It's called Impunes, a project that's coming from the creator of Mixmods, one of the largest GTA modding websites on the internet. This game has been in development for, well, over a decade, and yet, it's still not out. So what exactly is going on? And what is Impunes anyway? Impunes is an indie, open-world, role-playing game set in Brazil that's kind of like GTA, but with a more arcadey Minecraft twist to it. Unlike most games set in Brazil that showcase Rio and other famous areas, Impunes takes you to a less explored part of the country, Canario, a fictional city located in the Santa Camila region, which is inspired by the real-life Brazilian city of Balneário Camboriú, and it's being developed by a super small but highly experienced team. This includes Christian Farias, a senior programmer at a Microsoft MVP, and Link 2012, the creator of GTA's mod loader, all led by Valdir Junior. The team's leader is a big name in the GTA modding world, with over 500 mods created in the past decade, mostly for San Andreas. And while you might have just heard about this game, as I mentioned earlier, it's actually been in development for over a decade. Impunes started development all the way back in 2014, which is crazy to think about because the game is far from being finished yet. But back then, it used to be a totally different game. It wasn't even called Impunes. It started out as a top-down mobile game called 2NTD, short for 2 Nibble top-down, 2 Nibble, being the name of the studio behind the project. The game was inspired by GTA Chinatown Wars, and the whole idea was to make a mobile game that truly captured the essence of Brazil, everything from its luxury lifestyles to its struggles with poverty, with a GTA-style freehand gameplay. For a few years, the team worked on this little project, but it wasn't until 2017 that they decided to actually put a name to this game, calling it Impunes. And around the same time, the devs started sharing the early gameplay, which really didn't get much attention at all. And seeing how the game couldn't get any traction, the project was put on hold by 2019. The team decided to instead shift their focus on another one of their games for a while, and during that time, they realized Impunes needed to be something bigger and better. A simple mobile game wasn't going to cut it for them. Fast forward to 2020, the devs finally decided to make the jump, and Impunes got a full reboot. It was now going to be this GTA-style third-person PC game with completely overhauled maps, better textures, and better game mechanics instead of a small mobile game. But the development couldn't resume until 2022. That's when Junior and his team decided to go all in with it. And over these past 2 years, they have made significant progress with the development of this now called Brazilian GTA. And that brought Impunes more attention from GTA fans and content creators, but not all of it were positive. Tying your game to a massive franchise like GTA is a bold move. It gets people talking, but it also paints a big target on your back. And Impunes wasn't immune to criticism. One of the biggest controversies came from the 2-year development pause, which didn't sit well with many people, including the game's supporters. Some called it a scam, questioning whether the game even had a future, and those who had supported the game felt understandably frustrated. And just like most indie games, Impunes faced claims of being nothing more than an asset flip, getting most of their assets from marketplaces instead of creating their own. Now, the devs haven't denied this at all. In fact, they've been super transparent about the assets they've used, even breaking down costs and resources for the supporters. And honestly, I think that's totally fine for a small indie team. Pre-made assets save time and money. These are key resources for a team without AAA funding, so it's fine in my books, as long as they're not stealing content. Some fans have also shown concerns related to the game's lack of a big, overarching story. And yeah, it's true, Impunes doesn't have a grand plot, but according to the devs, that was never the point of it. This game is all about building a community-driven experience, mixing content created by players with what the devs bring to the table. It's a different take, but it's also a risky one. And let's not forget the drama surrounding Junior himself. If you've been around the GTA modding scene for a while, you probably know this guy's name. Junior was banned from the GTA forums over accusations of plagiarism and stealing mods. Of course, he denied the claims, saying he never plagiarized and didn't get the chance to take down the mod in question. Regardless, the incident added fuel to the fire, with many questioning his credibility, thus affecting his projects. This whole negative press certainly affected Impunes' crowdfunding, leading to more people getting skeptical and less willing to trust the project. Despite this, the developers have remained committed to finishing the game, aiming to release a playable version by early 2027. As much as I admire the team's passion and dedication behind Impunes, I can't help but have some serious concerns about its future. From what I've gathered, the devs and artists have been working on this project for free, even paying for the game's expenses out of their own pockets at times. That's an admirable level of commitment, but for a project this ambitious, it's just not sustainable successful in the long run. If we look at their crowdfunding, it turned out well below expectations. The devs launched a campaign on the Brazilian platform Apoia, setting a goal of 40,000 reais, which is roughly $6,500. For a game of this scale, even that target was incredibly low. Unfortunately, the campaign didn't even come close, raising just 30% of their goal, around 11,600 reais, or just under $2,000. They've mentioned receiving some additional donations outside the platform, bringing the total to 17,000 reais, but that's still not even close to covering the bare minimum needed to manage the game's development expenses. With the campaign failing to meet expectations, the team decided to shut it down entirely for now and carry on development with money from their own pockets or relying on donations outside of the platform. And again, while their passion is commendable, this approach makes it clear that Impunes risks being stuck in development hell for a very long time. The devs seem to understand this and are planning to launch a Kickstarter campaign in hopes of gaining the support and funds they need to move forward with the project. But even with a successful Kickstarter, the road ahead won't be easy, though it should give them the necessary resources to hire a more permanent staff to fast-track the development process. Originally, they planned to release a demo of the game in 2024, but that was super unrealistic or a bit too optimistic from their side. And looking at the current stage of the game from a few months ago, I can tell the game's not coming for at least another few years. In light of everything, the road ahead looks really challenging for Junior and his team. Development so far has been bumpy, with no permanent staff supporting the project long-term. Junior's essentially been a one-man army, which is both impressive and concerning at the same time. Unfortunately, the game hasn't gotten much attention, and most of the feedback it has received has been from people judging the game prematurely, comparing it to 171, which is way ahead in both funding and active development time. The crowdfunding hasn't worked out too well either. Without the funds to hire a proper team, the game's progress has naturally been slow. But despite all of that, Junior is still pushing forward. He's not aiming to create the next GTA or a deep single-player story. Instead, he's focused on delivering a sandbox adventure, much like Minecraft, where players can decide what to do and how to play, with a highly customizable experience. It's a bold approach that could set Impunes apart, if the team can pull it off. To keep the project alive and hopefully attract some big supporters, Junior has some ambitious plans. First, he's working to expand the team and register the company in a foreign country, probably Estonia, he said, to avoid hefty taxation, and to gain better resources and reach a broader audience. And unlike their past campaigns, they've decided to offer actual rewards for people supporting them in their next crowdfunding campaigns on Kickstarter. This will offer the backers actual incentives, like legal contracts for investors that could guarantee a percentage of the game's profits for those who offer substantial fundings. That sounds like a pretty good move and could definitely attract potential investors who are willing to take a chance on this upcoming project. As someone who's been part of the GTA modding community for years, I have high hopes for Impunes, but I'm keeping those hopes realistic. The developers have promised players that they'll get a chance to test the game when it releases to the public on Steam sometime in 2027. While I'm not entirely sure how they'll manage to pull this off given the current pace of development, they've shared a clear picture of what fans can expect from the demo. It will feature only a part of the map, with limited weapons, vehicles, characters, among other features. There won't be any storyline in the demo, but players can look forward to non-linear jobs and quests. However, don't expect voice acting or cinematic cutscenes. The dialogues will be subtitled only. It seems the devs are aiming to keep things realistic and avoid overpromising, which is a smart move, especially given how even AAA studios sometimes fall into that trap. The game will no longer be coming to mobile platforms. Instead, it will be launching exclusively on PC via Steam, with the possibility of joining consoles sometime in the future. While 2027 feels like a long wait, I appreciate the team's transparency about their progress and their cautious approach to setting expectations. And while I'm rooting for them, I can't help but feel that Junior and his team may have started off on the wrong foot. Reaching out to YouTubers for promotion while the game was still in such an early stage of development wasn't the best move. Instead, their focus should have been on presenting a playable demo to the players to build some trust. Adding to the challenge, the game currently has extremely limited reach, so most people don't even understand the core idea behind it. When someone hears about a GTA-like game set in Brazil, it's only natural to compare it to 171, whereas the developers are actually going for something totally different, a more customizable experience that doesn't depend on a traditional story, but instead features modular missions and tasks created by either them or the community. That said, the game is still far from finished, so it's too early for me to pass judgment. However, I do think that if Nibble can secure proper funding and assemble a permanent team to work on the the game, they might not create the next GTA, but they could definitely deliver a unique, community-driven open-world experience. But before we wrap this up, I'm curious, what do you think about Impunes? Had you heard about this project before, or is this your first time learning about it? All the research for this video was quite challenging, since most of the information about the game is only available in Portuguese. While I've tried my best to get everything right, there's a chance I may have misunderstood or missed some details. If you know more about this game or spotted anything I got wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments below.